So I got laid off this week via an email.
30,000 jobs, poof, gone. One email from Oracle, sorry you don't work here anymore. Typical corporate.
We are going up against AI. We are going up against software, robots, whatever you want to call them.
Imagine waking up to an email that says you're fired before you even pour your coffee.
And if you woke up this morning thinking, oh, I want to quit my job, just know that 30,000 people just got laid off.
There has been another round of tech layoffs.
It's just another reason why you can't put your eggs in one basket, with that basket being corporate.
So recently, Oracle cut thousands of employees, just like that. No big announcement, no long warning, just emails and people out the job. And if you've been paying attention, this isn't just some random company. Oracle is one of the biggest tech companies in the world, the kind of company that businesses and governments rely on every single day. So when something like this happens, it's usually not small. It usually means something bigger is going on behind the scenes. So let's talk about it.
So I got laid off this week via an email. Let's talk about it. My name's Kendall Levin. I'm 27 and I live in Austin, Texas. And for the last couple of years, I was making $250,000 a year at the largest software company in the world as a software sales manager. On Tuesday at 6 a.m., me, alongside 29,999 other people, got an email from an anonymous alias within the company stating that due to a restructure, our positions were no longer needed and that our employment was terminated immediately. Opened up my computer and sure enough, I was locked out.
That sucks.
So it's been a lot to process, but I'm kind of excited. I'm not bitter. I completely understand it from a business standpoint. It sucks, obviously, for me personally, but at the same time, it makes sense. And I support where the company's going. And so with that, sometimes sacrifices are needed. And unfortunately, this time I was that sacrifice. So trying to figure out life. I haven't focused on living in the last, 7 years. So my entire 20s, for the most part, have been consumed with work. Not to be dramatic, but my life literally revolved around this job. To the point where I'd wake up in the morning, I was so excited to go in and see my team and see my friends because all of my friends are at work. Because I don't have time to do anything else after work. So literally all of my social interaction happened in this building for the last 5 years. It's all I've known. I come home, I go to dinners with people that I work with customers. That's my evening activity. I come home, I work a little bit more, and then I go to bed, and then I wake up and I do the same thing the next day. And now all of that is gone.
30,000 jobs, poof, gone. One email from Oracle, sorry you don't work here anymore. Typical corporate. This is why I love small business, though. Small business owners typically care very much about their employees. They recognize how much they need them, and they will do what they need to take care of them. If you are, unfortunately, one of these people who's been laid off, I highly encourage you to take a look at small businesses. There are great companies out there that pay well, have great benefits, and want you to be there and care about you.
So the fine minds at Oracle decided to lay off 30,000 people at 6 a.m. this morning with an anonymous email that simply said, guess what? You and 29,999 other people are being released without any manager connection, without any particular person to talk with, nothing. No, just a blank anonymous email that laid them all off. This is all under the guise of AI is replacing your job. Sorry. Now, there's a bunch of speculation that suggests that what's actually happening is that this is a cover up for the dollars they had to borrow in order to make the investment in the company necessary to take them to the next level, and that this whole thing is a bigger gamble. But the big question, besides the massive black eye that, Oracle just gave themselves that they're going to have to deal with now in the press, is AI isn't actually functioning at that level. Replacing 30,000 people in a company isn't as easy as saying, well, we built an AI agent and, here you go. What is going to be the impact of these companies that are jumping the gun and firing mass people? It's estimated in 2025 that between 200 and 300,000 people were let go because AI was supposedly going to take their jobs. But the tech isn't actually there to do it at that level yet. What do you think? Are these companies going to crash, or are these companies going to race to figure out how to use AI and manage to sustain before the bottom falls out?
What makes this situation stand out isn't just the numbers being cut, it's what it represents. Because Oracle isn't a struggling company trying to survive. This is a company that's still growing, still making money, and still expanding in key areas like cloud computing. So when a company like that starts cutting thousands of workers, it tells you that this isn't about panic. It's more about strategy. Companies today are no longer waiting until things go wrong to make cuts. They're getting ahead of it. They're looking at where they want to be in the next 5 to 10 years and making decisions right now to align with that future. And in Oracle's case, that future doesn't require the same number of employees it once did. That's a huge shift because it means job security is no longer tied to how well a company is doing. You could be working at a company that's profitable, stable, and growing, and still find yourself out the job because your role no longer fits where the company is going. And if that becomes the standard, then the way people think about going with safe careers is going to start changing really fast.
Oracle laying 30,000 people off via email was not an April Fool's joke. It was real. Guys, we are living in a time where it is no longer middle class versus upper class or lower class, right? Rich versus poor. It is literally us versus them.
Yeah.
And you want to know the scary part about it? We're no longer in a day and time where we're going up against the woman who have the bachelor's degree and we have a master's, or she has 5 years experience and we have 20.
So
we are going
AI.
up against AI. We are going up against software, robots, whatever you want to call it. When it comes down to these big major companies, these corporations, these big CEOs, everybody want their hand in a pot, right? Everybody want a part of this AI revolution, whatever you want to call it. And the thing about it, they don't need the money, right? They're not doing these mass layoffs because they need the money. They just want to take the money that they were paying human beings
And
to
invest
go
it.
ahead and invest in the newest software, the newest AI, the newest robot, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to just say this. Times are moving fast. Things are changing. We're moving in a digital age. We're in the digital age. Let me just say that. But we better start paying attention because this is just the beginning. There's a lot more companies that's about to do what Oracle did.
Yo, Oracle laid off 30,000 people today. Like, just wow. Mind you, this all happened today. And the crazy thing about it, they sent it in an email at 6 a.m. today. So this is according to Business Insider. And honestly, I can even include a screenshot of it really quick. Here's what the email says. After careful consideration of Oracle's current business needs, we have made the decision to eliminate your role as part of a broader organizational change. What?
Crazy.
If you were impacted by today's layoffs, honestly, like, my heart truly, truly, truly does go out to you. And honestly, for anyone seeing any of the Oracle like layoff LinkedIn posts that people are making, if they did get laid off, please, one, repost it, and then two, comment in the comment section. Comment for better reach, because I'm telling you, stuff like that really does go a long way. Other recruiters from other companies who are hiring can see that post, and then that way they can get that person to be hired or to just be spearheaded within whatever interview cycle that person may be recruiting for. You know what I mean? So let's just do our part in helping just people, just helping everyone who got laid off today, So just please, that's my ask for y'all. If you see it, repost, comment, all that stuff, because this is a deep situation.
So Oracle has become the latest tech company to issue layoffs. Yesterday, March 31st, and this morning, April 1st, Oracle cut 30,000 jobs. That's about 18% of their entire workforce. Now, we know this isn't because the company is struggling. They actually had a 95% jump in net income last quarter.
Wow.
So then why the layoffs? It's to free up 8 to 10 billion in cash so they can double down on AI data centers. And a $156 billion partnership with OpenAI. Let that sink in. Jobs are being cut to fund AI. And y'all know these companies don't give up. So they laid the employees off via email at 6 a.m. And just like that, access revoked. No meeting, no conversation, just locked out. This is not just about Oracle. This is a trend. Companies are shifting money from people to technology, from payroll to AI infrastructure. So if you're currently watching this thinking it could never be me, it in fact could definitely be you. It probably is you. The real question is, are you preparing for where things are going, or are you holding on to how things used to be? Because shit is definitely getting real.
When you actually break down the numbers, it really starts to hit. Oracle has roughly over 160,000 employees worldwide, and reports said that they cut anywhere from 20,000 to 30,000 jobs. That's not a small adjustment. That's potentially close to 1 out of every 5 employees being let go. And when you zoom out, this isn't happening in isolation. Across in the tech industry, tens of thousands of workers have already been laid off over the past couple of years, and the numbers keep growing. What's different now is whose those layoffs are coming from. These aren't weak companies folding under pressure. These are some of the strongest, most profitable companies in the world making deliberate decisions to shrink their workforce. That's what makes this feel different, because when layoffs happen during growth, it signals a deeper change in how companies operate. It shows that businesses are becoming more focused on efficiency then expansion. And when you combine that with numbers this large, it starts to paint this picture that this isn't just a phase, it's a shift in how the entire industry is moving.
And if you woke up this morning thinking, oh, I want to quit my job, just know that 30,000 people just got laid off. 30,000 people. You are competing with the people who have already been looking for employment. Now, on top of that, you're competing with 30,000 more people. And I talked about this in a previous video, but somebody was like, well, what about my mental health? Babe, if you think your mental health is trash right now, no disrespect. If you think it's bad right now, imagine how bad it's going to get when you don't have any money for food, when you don't have money to pay the bills, when you don't have money to buy the essentials. Like, again, if you think it's bad right now, it could get worse. And I don't mean that to be funny. I don't mean that to be harsh. But again, as someone who was laid off for 7 months, it was a bitch. A big bitch. It was bad.
Imagine waking up to an email that says you're fired before you even pour your coffee. Thousands of Oracle employees woke up 6 a.m. this morning to an email that tells them they're fired and today is their last day. No warning, no manager call, no conversation, just locked out and gone. And here's the part that's going to make you mad. Oracle is reportedly cutting 20,000 to 30,000 jobs. That is nearly 18% of their workforce. Some teams saw a 30% cut overnight. And I know you're thinking, why? Well, because Oracle has an over $50 billion debt that they amassed in the last couple of months building AI data centers. Let me translate that for you. They're burning through money trying to build the future, and they're using your job as fuel. That's like throwing people overboard to make the boat lighter, but then at the same time, they're building a bigger boat. This is why I keep telling y'all, when it comes to data centers coming into your community, you need to understand something. The economic growth means sometimes your job is eliminated so they can keep those profits high. And the irony is they lay you off to invest in AI. And then you still end up trying to find a human to fix the problem anyway. Anybody out there work for Oracle? Did you get caught up in this? And if you did you see it coming?
There's layoffs and then there's bad company layoffs. This is a bad company layoff because this is what just happened. At 6 a.m., Oracle sent out this email essentially cutting 30,000 employees with no warning. And all they got for severance was 4 weeks plus an additional week for every year they've been in employment. And by this point, we've seen the trends already with other companies doing this. But what's really alarming is that a month ago, this was their stock price. And after making the layoffs, now this is their new stock price. The scariest part to this is that it's not just one function that was impacted, like back office, finance, or HR. It's tech, it's operations, it's all of these roles that have been impacted by this. Again, what does this mean for you? I think other companies are going to see this and see how stocks rise after making cuts and investing in AI. And I think other companies are going to follow suit. So what can you do? What can I do? I wish I had this magic formula to say, like, if you do this or you're in this role, everything will be okay. I think for the next few months, there's going to be a lot of volatility. There's going to be a lot of layoffs. There's going to be a lot of this news. The best thing you could do right now is invest in your skills for the future. Keep your opportunities available. Maybe even do a side hustle. But the one thing for sure is never be overly loyal to any one company. That's the main lesson out of this. Okay, my friend? Good luck.
And it's not just Oracle. Other major companies have also recently experienced layoffs. As you can see, this is fairly recent in the first quarter. If you notice on the left, we have some big companies. Some of them you'll notice are competitors like Amazon. But if we just scroll down, you see Meta, you see Nike, you see even Pinterest, Agora, and the month announced, March, January, February, all fairly in the same quarter. If we look at the job cuts, 20,000 are about 10%, 60,000, 4,000, 6,000, roughly 2,000, up to 20% of workforce, up to 50% of workforce. And if we scroll to the right, we'll see why they were laid off. Waves deep job cuts as AI overhaul unfolds, corporate jobs cuts, AI are efficient driven overhaul, global cuts by end of 2028, AI and operational streamlining, cuts over 10 years, long-term AI driven streamlining plan, 30% of workforce automation and AI streamlining, nearly half of its workforce, AI focused restructuring. You'll notice a pattern that most of these reasons have AI in them. It's because of AI. Guys, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. So as much as people try to defend the fact that AI is not going to take over in these major tech companies, This data is showing that it already has, and it's going to continue. I'll also put the website link down below in the description so you guys can check this out yourselves, because I'm not making this up. This is really happening, and it's scary times.
My first thought this morning when I found out that Oracle laid off 30,000 employees via an email at 6 a.m. is that it's just a cruel April Fool's joke. It's just another reason why you can't put your eggs in one basket, with that basket being corporate.
There has been another round of tech layoffs, and like, this is the exact reason why I personally, let me not lie, this isn't the exact reason why I didn't go to school and I didn't join the workforce in that way, but like, putting my life, putting my livelihood in the hands of another grown man always never sat right with me. Like, even though at times I was immensely poor and I had no money, there were times when I had to put my pride aside, but then as soon as I got a little bit of money in my pocket, I took my pride right the fuck back. Because relying on an employer is the worst possible feeling, because they could just let you go in an instant like that and they don't really give a fuck. And you don't have the ability to go to a new place or a new employer or whatever like that. Like, for me, I'm self-employed. So to get clients at this current stage in my business, it's not particularly hard. It's just about strategy and because I offer something valuable to people. But like, if I was still an employee to somebody else, I'd be shit out of luck. Like, I'd be fucking screwed. Like, if somebody just completely fired me or laid me off, whatever the difference is, I'm not in corporate America, but if somebody laid me off, what would I be able to do? Because neither of my parents have the means to take care of me in that way, where it's like, you know, they don't own homes and stuff like that. Like, I would just be so out of luck. And I wonder why people still do this, why they still join this corporate America workforce if it's not healthcare. Like, healthcare seems to be the only thing that makes sense to me. Even if there's people protesting saying that they want to get paid more, at least you have job security. You know that wherever you go across the country, you will find a fucking job. But all these other shits, all this tech and all this random bullshit that people get paid buku money for, like, why choose that? Like, I know you see the money, you see the dollar signs, but why not choose something with longevity?
Oracle laying off 30,000 people on April 1st is the reason why you should not be so locked in with your corporate job. Because I'm telling you, they could have did it yesterday. They could have did it tomorrow. But they chose to do it on April 1st when not only rent is due, nobody's taking nothing serious on April 1st. They did it on April 1st at 6 a.m. sharp, cold email. And then 30,000 people at that. And I get it, there's some employees that only work there for, you know, maybe a month, couple months, but there's some that also work there for years. No reason, no explanation, no nothing. And there's people over here saying that they're still actually hiring people and taking applications. So, like, you should always be weary about your corporate job, but in times like this, you need to be extra weary.
There's the part that nobody really wants to say directly, AI. Because when you look at where companies like Oracle are putting their money, it starts to connect. Billions of dollars are being poured into AI infrastructure, data centers, and automation systems. Tasks that once required teams of people can now be assisted or handled by software. Internal operations are becoming more streamlined. Decision-making is becoming more automated. So the need for large teams starts to shrink over time. And that creates a quiet shift where companies don't feel the need to hire as much. And when they cut roles, they're not in a rush to replace them. So when you see layoffs like this, it's not just about cost cutting in the moment. It's about positioning for a future where fewer employees are needed to generate the same or even greater output. And that raises a real question about what happened to the people whose roles are slowly being phased out.
Oracle's AI expansion via their debt-laden data centers just led to layoffs. They're laying off roughly 18% of the company, which is about 30,000 folks worldwide. I honestly think that this investment in the future of AI is making it so people can't plan for their futures.
hear me out, 2027 is a year of the mass layoff epidemic in the tech industry, because the tech industry has been at a downfall for quite some time, and there's been a lot of layoffs in the news. For recent, Oracle, 30,000 employees recently got laid off. It was really big, and they only got a 6 a.m. email. It's not new for tech companies to do this. I've had friends at Meta and Amazon and everything that a similar thing has happened to them. They don't really get a notice. They get like super early. Like I think the Meta one was like 5 a.m. emails. They have a bunch of layoffs. Meta has them like every other month. These companies have them like every quarter. My company hadn't even had one until this year. We hadn't had one in a long time, and we barely had our first one this quarter. And I have a feeling with the talk of AI, there's so much talk about AI in the tech world that is actually really annoying. And I have a feeling that we're probably going to do layoffs maybe quarterly, 100% again, but like maybe quarterly, maybe twice a year. But this is the year of mass layoffs, because tech companies are really diving deep in this AI. Like, we're creating roles that are AI deep, AI engineering roles, AI this role, AI that role. Where did these roles come from?
I've been in HR for over 20 years. And what I find very interesting is that companies like Oracle or Meta, companies that during the 2000s and the 2010s really spent a lot of money crafting this amazing employer brand value, like how amazing their corporate culture was. Now you're seeing those same companies lay off 20, 30,000 people. Do you guys realize how many people 30,000 people is? Like, that's a town of people. That's a whole infrastructure. It's like whole communities. And they're just letting them go to fund the next exciting project, the next shiny object, to appease stakeholders, shareholders that, hey, look at our margins, we're doing great. Nobody's sitting there and quantifying how much money they spent, how much time they spent into crafting this image of their brand to attract all these talented people they have on staff, and how all of that effort, all of that time, all that money has just gone to waste right now. How they'll never ever be able to have another meeting to talk about their culture, about how great it is to work there, how every time, they're having a meeting with a prospective employee that they're trying to recruit, a talented employee, how that employee is just going to be like, yeah, you guys are full of it. Like, I'm just going to ask for a premium. They don't sit and quantify it because they're trying to focus on this short-term headline that will help drive shareholder value in the short term.
What makes this even more important is that Oracle isn't the only company moving this way. Across the tech industry, we're seeing the same pattern play out again and again. Companies are cutting jobs while simultaneously increasing their investments in AI. Meta has done it, Amazon has done it, Microsoft has done it, and now Oracle is doing it as a massive scale. That's not coincidence, that's a trend. These companies are starting to shift their priorities. Instead of hiring more people to grow, they're finding ways to do more with less. Efficiency is becoming the goal. And once one company proves that this model works, others follow. That's how industries change, not all at once, but gradually, until one day it becomes the norm. And if this continues, we could be looking at a future where large companies operate with significantly smaller teams than they did in the past, supported by technology that fills in the gaps.
The Oracle layoffs were not only diabolical, but it sets the tone on the precedents for other corporations, because we've created such a conglomerate of companies that all work together. And so if companies are using Oracle and 18% of their workforce is now gone, there is now chain reaction that happens, right? Because there are certain roles and job titles at other companies that, well, we don't need it because you don't have to talk to that person because now they have AI. Allegedly, they're using AI, right, to help with the workload, allegedly. I just think it's diabolical, because just last week you probably had people working on projects or putting memes on people's calendars, and y'all knew that y'all were like gonna make this move. This is not something that people wake up and do. Like, I need people to understand the severity of this. Like, for months your execs were planning this at Oracle, knowing like, these people, right, like they laid it all out these titles, these roles, we're going to dissipate them. And like, I just think that it is a serious concern because employees do not have a lot of the rights and backing that they once had. So these corporations are just pulling the plug whenever they feel like it in the name of AI. And yet you still have people on here pushing AI, trying to tell people to learn how to utilize it. For what? They're basically saying they're going to lay you off for this. So you're learning how to use it does what? I mean, maybe I'm wrong in that, but I just don't understand why pushing it. What does it do? Like, I don't know, but it's a very serious like thing because 30,000 people is a lot of people. Like, this is not 300. Like, you shouldn't have to lay off anybody if you have really good leadership. Like, figure out where's the money, Steven? Like, figure it out. But like, 30,000 is nuts.
Why is it that the only employees that got a heads up about the mass layoffs at Oracle were the ones in Seattle, Washington? The WARN Act. The WARN Act is what bought them a 2-month grace period to figure themselves out. And it wasn't even the federal WARN Act. So Washington State is a very employee-friendly state. And so they have their own statewide WARN Act. It's called a mini WARN, which basically says if you are going to get rid of 50 or more people at one site, you need to give them a 60-day notice. The federal law's threshold is not 50 people. It is 500 people. Oracle intends on laying off 491 employees in Washington State. So under the Federal WARN Act, they don't got to warn anyone about it. But Washington State is like, no, we think not. You need to give this 60-day warning. As terrible as this sounds, it's kind of like a saving grace for those employees because they're in a much better situation than the ones who woke up today with no job. Well, the sad part is that these jobs are not being replaced by other humans.
Nope.
All of that money is being reallocated towards AI infrastructure and like data centers and things of that sort. You know, it's all going towards AI because that's the future. It just opens that broader conversation that, you know, we colloquially laugh like, oh my gosh, AI is going to take out jobs. AI is taking all the jobs. And we're on like an upward trajectory for it to take way more jobs than I think we're prepared to see. I'm all for technology. I love the technological advancement that we're seeing. But if you take the good, you also have to take the bad. And the bad is what we're seeing with the workforce. Just tens of thousands of people losing their jobs, their livelihoods, and then possibly starting over. And it's not something that just affects Americans. This is a global consequence. And it's not just the tech field, right? We're seeing articles come out more and more now about the medical field even. So I don't know. I always used to joke and be like, I wonder what the workforce is going to look like 10 to 15 years. I'm wondering what the workforce is going to look like
2 years.
3 years from
Yeah.
now. So a lot going on.
For the average person watching all of this, it's easy to think this only affects people working in tech, but it doesn't, because when thousands of high-paying jobs disappear, it creates ripple effects throughout the entire economy. Those workers spend less money, which impacts businesses, which impacts local economies. At the same time, job competition increases. Now you have more experienced, highly qualified people, all competing for fewer opportunities. That can put pressure on salaries and make it harder for people to find stable work. But beyond the financial impact, there's also a psychological shift. People start to move differently. They become more cautious. They save more. They question how stable their own job really is. And over time, that mindset spreads. Because once people see that even the biggest companies are making cuts like this, it changes how secure anything feels. And that might be the biggest shift of all.
So I met someone yesterday who got laid off from Oracle, and I asked them, were there any signs that this was coming? And they said that their boss had asked them to start training an AI bot on how to help them do their job. And then when they tried to log into their office that morning, they couldn't log in. And they opened up their email and they saw a notice from HR that they had been laid off with a small severance package. So I guess the moral of the story is, if your boss asks you to start training an AI bot to help you with your job, do a really shitty job at that. Really train the worst AI bot in the world to do a really terrible, terrible job at your job. And then take as much family medical leave as you can.
I read the news so that you don't have to. Oracle just set aside another $500 million for restructuring. I'm sure most of you know this, but just in case you don't, restructuring in corporate language means people are about to lose their jobs. As you can see, the headline says, Oracle prepares for job cuts as it hails efficiencies from AI coding tools. In case you don't know, Oracle is a $300 billion database giant founded by Larry Ellison. Yes, the same Larry Ellison of Paramount. And it's one of the companies that's trying to compete in this ongoing AI arms race. Think massive data centers, cloud computing infrastructure, huge deals with companies building AI models. But building all of that infrastructure is very spenny. So Oracle has decided to do what many tech companies are doing right now, and they are cutting people to fund AI. Let me give you a quick breakdown of what the numbers are showing. So Oracle has set aside $2.1 billion this year for restructuring. They have already spent almost $1 billion, mostly on severance pay. So they still have $1.1 billion left, which analysts say could fund thousands more job cuts. So Oracle literally told investors that AI coding tools mean they can build software faster with fewer developers, which means that technology companies are building is starting to replace some of the people that are building it. But employees seem to know that it's coming. At a recent internal meeting in Nashville, which is soon to be the Oracle's new HQ, executives talked about strong performance and AI productivity gains, but they didn't mention layoffs. Meanwhile, staff themselves actually reportedly believe that redundancies could come within weeks, especially in legacy business and support roles, outside of the core cloud division. And this isn't the first round. Last year, Oracle already cut 3,000 jobs, including wiping out an entire layer of middle management in sales and marketing. So you'll know that in this AI infrastructure boom, that Oracle are spending huge amounts of money to build these data centers because they're trying to compete with the likes of Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. And to fund that expansion, they have taken on massive debt, about $143 billion worth.
Wow.
So to keep investors happy, they are now cutting costs elsewhere. And this ultimately is a bit of a gamble because across the tech sector right now, companies are making these same calculations. There's these huge promises of productivity gains, huge gains rather, from AI. Productivity gains basically means fewer workers are going to be needed. And so with regards to this AI boom, you have this strange paradox that's created because the technologies that's creating the future is also quietly reshaping the workforce today. We might see this in Oracle as the first of a big wave, but it definitely won't be the last.
At the end of the day, this isn't just about Oracle cutting jobs. It's about what those cuts represent, because when companies are growing, making money, and still choosing to reduce their workforce at the same scale, it usually means something bigger is changing behind the scenes. And whether people realize it now or later, those changes don't stay contained within one company or one industry, they spread. So the real question becomes, are we paying attention to it while it's happening? Or are we going to look back a few years from now and realize this is one of those moments where everything quietly started to shift? Yo, let me know in the comments. Till next time, I'm out.